If you've ever considered running a challenge for your business, this is going to be the video that you need to watch because today, my guest, Jeff Brewer, who is one of the foremost experts at the challenge model for coaching, consulting, and core style businesses, is going to be breaking down exactly how you can use the power of a challenge in order to drive more high paying clients. And specifically, it's not the type of challenge you might be thinking about where it feels more like an event. This is a challenge that actually drives real transformation and allows the people that participate to actually go from 0 to 1 and to start implementing whatever it is that you teach. This is a true masterclass, and I'm so excited for you to learn from Jeff on today's Marketing Minds podcast. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the Marketing Minds podcast.
Aleric, thanks for having me, brother. Super excited to be here with you today.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to dive into the power of launches and how you can use those to be able to scale and grow, especially expert-based businesses. So what I would love to learn is just overall, maybe a kind of an overview of what makes a successful challenge launch and why is it so powerful for expert businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of people, they get into business because they have an ideal avatar they want to help and serve. And they just immediately go to think like, okay, how am I best going to do that? Right. So they just start thinking, okay, I need to create a product. Right. So they spend all their time, energy, and effort researching a product, building the product, creating the product, and then they go to sell that product and it's a boom town. No one there, they have no audience, and no one buys. Right. So I like to think, how can we spend more of our time, energy, and effort building and curating an audience of people that we want to help serve? How can we survey them, understand what are you buying now? What do you wish that it had that it doesn't? What are some ways in which you're not fully served? And what do you want more? Like, what still is left to be desired? Right. And then how can we go and pretty much position that product and market it and sell it? And then we can create that product with them. So the big nuance there is we spend all our time, energy, and effort cultivating and curating the audience and the community and serving them and finding out how can we sell them what they want, and then we can deliver what they actually need with them together in collaboration on the back end. So that's the best way I think to launch a new product, is really identifying and obsessing over how do we survey this ideal avatar that we want to serve so we can serve them in the deepest way, and then cultivate and create that product with them, right? So I think obsessing over the avatar, and then the product comes once you deep dive and reverse engineer that avatar, instead of thinking that you're like the almighty be all of the products already in your head.
Yeah. So I think a question a lot of people wonder when they think about challenges, right? And it could actually be valuable to kind of break down for people who might not be as familiar a challenge in general. So I'd love to have kind of your sense of what a successful challenge is. But then I also want to dive deeper into understanding what to put into that challenge. What is too much content, but also enough that it provides value. I'm curious that side of things. But first, I'd love for you to break down what could this challenge look like? Maybe even using one of your challenges or a client's challenge as an example, just so people understand they're all on the same page. When we talk about challenges, there's gonna be a lot of people watching this who know it and that maybe they've participated in a challenge, maybe they've ran a challenge. But there are also gonna be some people watching this that don't really know exactly what we mean. So if you could break down maybe even an example of what a challenge like this could look like.
Webinars are dead, right? It's like, this is, you keep hearing this, like webinars are dead, online launches are dead, people aren't buying as much anymore, sales cycles are elongating, right? We're in a trust recession, right? These are things that people are experiencing either through like word of mouth hearing through the grapevine or in their own business. And I think we have to go back to first principles of like, okay, well, if we're in a trust recession, how do we gain the most amount of trust in the least amount of time? Right? So there's 17 different launch systems that we have actively either used and will deploy with ourselves and different clients. But really, in recent years, I've stuck to one specific launch system, and that is the challenge launch model. And the reason we've done the challenge launch is because it's worked with people who are the most successful top experts in their field, all the way to beginners who are just starting out. Where I think if you look at a lot of different launch systems, they tend to, some launch systems are more expensive, or they take a lot of time, money, energy to start. And then some systems are better for beginners. But this one is one that works for both beginners and experts. because you can do it quickly and easily, whether you have money or not. Also, it focuses in on this law of reciprocity, law of value. How do we create value before we actually invite people to our sales presentation? So webinars aren't dead. It's just the way that we used to do them in 2015, 2018 of like, let's just run some direct response ads on Meta to an evergreen automated webinar that's 60 minutes. And then like we have $1 million business overnight. I think that model is dead, right? So now it's like, if we're in a trust recession, how do we build the trust? So the challenge launch model, there's two things that make it unique. Number one is you invite people into an exclusive community-driven experience. So they actually have to pay to join. Now you can do a free challenge. Those definitely work. But I personally like doing paid challenges because people who pay attention, even if it's a low dollar amount of money, like $47 and $97, right? If we're opting in the 10 free things and you're paying for one, you're probably going to pay a little more attention to that thing that you paid for, right? So they pay to become a part of a private, exclusive community in a short duration of time, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 14 days. And you put them in a private Facebook group, a school community, right? Something like that, where they can interact with a private, exclusive group of people. The second thing is microtransformation, right? So we're webinars or 4-part video series or online summits. The one thing that those launch systems have in common is it's one specific expert talking to multiple people in a one-to-many way, teaching them, adding value, storytelling, educating. But there's no micro transformation achieved, right? So what a challenge does is it flips that on its head and says, hey, no matter what, we're going to spend less time teaching you and more time telling you what to do, what to curate and create. So by the end of this challenge, you're going to have something in your life, some tangible asset. You're going to have created something that you didn't have before you started this challenge. Those two critical things, paying to pay attention, private community experience, and then that micro transformation being delivered, those are two critical components that make a challenge and separate it from all the other types of launch systems. One of my favorite challenge launch systems that I've deployed personally that comes to mind when I think about this is a lot of people, what's the number one thing that they need to get started to curate a business? Well, they need an audience of people. So, hey, if we can go to a YouTube advertising platform or Meta and run paid ads, or can we go to organic content or partners? Where can we funnel that attention to own that audience attention? So we need leads. So let's create some lead magnet, right? So I created a list building challenge. So this was a 14-day list building challenge and people had to pay $47 to join. And immediately right away, I wasn't like, hey, here's why you need a list. Here's why you need leads. Within 24 hours, I was saying, hey, whatever assets you have, take it and let's build your first lead magnet together. So I gave them, 7, 10 different types of lead magnet strategies. Then I gave them a Canva lead magnet template, right? So instead of saying like, hey, go think about creating something, it's like, hey, how to use some asset you already have and AI to create the content of that quickly. And here's like essentially a share funnel, a Canva lead magnet template. So within a day of them joining, they had their lead magnet design up and running. And then within the next 48 hours, we said, okay, great. Now you have your lead magnet. Now you need a place and an online destination you can send traffic to for them to download that lead magnet in exchange for giving their email address, right? So then within the next 48 hours, we got their lead magnet funnel up and running with their 3D designed cover image of their lead magnet, some marketing automation, autoresponder connected to it. And I gave them a ClickFunnels share funnel template. It wasn't like, hey, go hire a funnel builder. I was like, hey, use my thing, replace my 3D image of my lead magnet with yours. Let's hook it up to your own account. Here's a free trial and get it up and running. And then the next 2 days after that, I had a tech office hours thing. So I was like, no man left but behind. If you have not gotten your lead magnet design in your lead magnet funnel up and running, come on the next 2 days of these office hours. You can ask any question. And my funnel builder will actually take the reins and get your thing up and running, set up your personal domain, right? Get your assets done. So it's like no person at the end of this challenge, if you're attending at the end of 5 days, should not have a lead magnet funnel designed and a lead magnet funnel up and running. It's like, okay, great. Now we have this asset ready to deploy. Now, what do we need? We need audience attention being deployed and coming to this lead magnet funnel so people can actually download this asset. Over the course of the next 5 days, I taught them one unique organic traffic distribution strategy that they could deploy for free to get people already in their existing network to this lead magnet funnel to download this lead magnet, even if they had never created content before, right? So things like, hey, go into existing communities and groups and add value and, ask other people if they're interested to learn more. And then, you can DM them, private message them, or you can even ask the admin to, if you can add value for free, or even pay them, right, to do essentially like a solo ad or sponsored post in the group, right? So you can go to existing communities, other people's audiences. I shared, hey, this is how you can publish your first organic piece of content or go live organically on social. There's like all these different strategies and distribution channels. You can just direct message people in your LinkedIn contacts, your Instagram contacts, your Facebook contacts, people on your phone and say, hey, I just launched this amazing new, free asset that helps you achieve Y transformation. I wanted to give you a copy absolutely free. All you have to do is click this link and then enter your email. Would that be of interest to you? So we all have probably hundreds to thousands of people who already have in our contact. You could just hit up and message that same prompt quickly with like a one-on-one message, right? So reaching the people whose audience you own one-on-one, one-to-many, and then going to other people's audiences that you don't own one-on-one, or if they're the curator of that audience, or one-to-many being able to post in their group, right? So there's all these free strategies we can do. Within the next 24, 48, 72 hours, even 5 days, all of these people now have people not just coming to the lead magnet funnel, but downloading and getting their lead magnet asset and getting their first people on their list for the very first time. Some people, hundreds, even thousands of people downloading the lead magnet asset in just a couple days. Crazy. So now I said, hey guys, now you've taken your first primary step forward. But the number one thing you can do now is you probably have people saying, hey, this free asset is great, but how do I work with you, learn from you at a deeper level? So I would love to invite you to my live graduation training, in which I'm going to show you my 6 top monetization strategies. Because the number one thing you can't afford to do, taking this major leap forward, is take 2 steps back by having a list of people you can't serve in the deepest way possible. So in the live graduation training, that was a webinar, I shared with them my 6 monetization strategies and then made them an offer to invest in a do-it-yourself program, $2,000 course for them to learn the 6 monetization strategies over the next 6 weeks. And I had 20% of the people attending that live graduation training webinar invest and enroll in that core offer. So that's like start to finish, right? How you can create an asset, spend all the time, energy, and effort delivering that asset, creating a micro transformation. So even if they don't invest in that core offer, right, like the 80% of challengers who joined in, they still had a lead magnet funnel, and people on their list, and they now know 5 different traffic distribution strategies that they can use in perpetuity on an ongoing basis. So when they're ready to actually invest, do you think they're a lot more likely to come back to and work with Jeff Brewer or work with someone else who just taught them something? So I think that's a good example of how do you actually deploy a challenge in action to deliver a real behind the scenes, pay attention, community-driven experience and a micro transformation being delivered in a real meaningful way that creates the asset, creates that desire for people wanting to learn more and go deeper with you, and then resulting in a higher attendance rate of that webinars are dead webinar, and a higher conversion rate of people having more conviction that you are the person who really they know, like, and trust now that can take them to that monetization land.
I love that. And that's a whole masterclass right there in what you're doing and an example of how you're applying it. And so I'm excited because, in this episode, we're going to be diving deeper into all these different ins and outs, how people can, go and run similar strategies. What I'm curious about, as you mentioned yours, the 14-day, I know some people do 5-day challenges, 3-day challenges, 7-day challenges. What I'm curious to know is what the difference is between different length challenges and why people should consider a challenge over maybe a virtual event or a 1-day event or a webinar or something like that. Like maybe you could describe the differences between different lengths and also challenges versus other virtual event formats.
Yeah, it's a great question. First and foremost, I would say in terms of answering the question around duration of time. So all days aren't created equal, right? So I always say it should be as long as it needs to be and not a minute or even a day longer, right? Also, it's like, what are you doing on that day? So there are these people who are running these free 5-day challenges where it's like multiple speakers per day, 3, 4 hour, productions, and they're speaking maybe like 10 to 20% of the time. It's like, well, who got the most value and goodwill in that? Like every speaker did. And now, how is that person who watched something for 4 hours have any like attention, energy, effort left to actually go and create something? And they still don't even ask them to go create something. So, really, I would bucket that challenge
Yeah.
as more of an online summit model that just puts it not in the challenge unique element of what I said that differentiates a challenge as a challenge of a people who pay attention,
Yeah.
paid community, exclusive access, close proximity to use the expert and the community of people, and in pursuit of the micro transformation, right? Those are the things that make a challenge a challenge. That is just a free online summit or even a paid, VIP upsell to get the recordings, right? That online summit doesn't get people the micro transformation. There is a community element to it, but it's like most people are spending so much time consuming the 3 to 4 hours of content from all these different speakers. They're not spending any time doing, right? So what I like to do is, hey, just come on here for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day. And I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to learn so you can go do, you can go create, you can go implement. Spend the majority of the time doing that. So once I tell you what you need to do on that day, I want you to go and do it. I'm going to give you some type of asset cheat code, right? The the share funnel that I mentioned, the Canva template, right? That's going to help you create the asset in less time. So you're going to actually get it. And then you can come back in the community and post in the community like, hey, here's my asset I created. Other community members can then engage with each other. So that's where you create the community because it's not just the Jeff Brewer show or the leader expert show. It's the community, right? That people really want an affinity for. They want feedback from other people like, hey, what do you think about this? How can I improve it? Right. So people are giving each other feedback. That's the power of the challenge is the community. And then you can give them some type of digital prize, challenge badge for completing that day's activity. And then they're in momentum, right? And an object of momentum stays in momentum. And just like webinars are dead, people aren't opting in attending, right? Well, the right ones are. So if you can get an object of momentum and a person in momentum as a part of your challenge community, they're a lot more likely to continue to show up the next day. Whereas in this free 5-day model where it's just 4 hours of video, you have a lot of attrition. So, right. So meaning less people are attending and coming back every single day because it's just a free thing. So I want less people coming in because more people are paying, but a lower churn, lower attrition, more attention every day because people are actually building something and they're invested, they're in momentum, and they're a lot more likely to come back. So it should be as long as it needs to be, not a minute or a day longer. But you also need to make the transformation easily believable, easily achievable, and the time frame of the challenge needs to link up with the transformation, right? So for example, I had a fitness influencer, fitness coach who wanted to do a keto fitness hacks challenge. It would be unreasonable for him to promise a 3-day physical body transformation,
Yeah.
right? When people have been eating unhealthy for 30 years of their life. So we did a 30-day challenge, right?
Yeah.
I I did the 14-day challenge because I was like, hey, I want to have time to teach, allow them to create, and then I want to have time for the distribution, and I want to have time in between for the no man or woman left behind to give them the support they needed. So even though it was 14 days, it was only, 15 to 30 minutes a day instead of 4 hours a day. So total cumulative time was less. I think somewhere, 5 is good, 7, 14. I think that's kind of the sweet spot, but it's more like, what are you doing every day? And I would rather you spend less time only being the person, being the expert, giving them exactly what they need to go do and create. So then you get that goodwill and then they identify you as someone that's actually helped them create an asset, helped them done something in their life they have never done before. And that short of a time frame for that low of a dollar amount, then that's how you're going to come back and step aside as a unique creator and not be a part of the trust recession because they now have the know like trust credibility with you.
Yeah, that's great. I love that you differentiated how they're actually doing it in the challenge. They're actually taking action. You give them, different resources and assignments to do. And I think that that actually was an unlock, and like, is we've talked, before this as well, knowing each other around here in Austin. That's an unlock in understanding the difference between what's, more traditionally either a virtual event or a summit model versus a true challenge where they're actually seeing that transformation. So I think the next thing people would ask and think about is, how do you balance what it is that you're having people do with, and I'm curious your perspective here. uh, People might be concerned about cannibalizing their core offer, right? So doing what it is that they do in their core offer. Um, and then also at the same time, you want to provide enough value to build the trust and to have them see that value. So how do you find that balance between it's valuable enough that they see the value in what can be implemented without it kind of stepping into what you're actually providing in your core offer, which also would be too advanced for this type of challenge anyways. But like, how do you find that balance of the value without potentially cannibalizing your core offer?
Show me, don't tell me. In a trust recession, show me, don't tell me is more important today than it ever has been before. If all of your other competitors are busy educating only and teaching people the how of what they need to do, but you're the only person actually helping them achieve that meaningful desired micro transformation where they've done more for a lower dollar amount in a shorter time duration than ever before, you're going to rise to the top and you're going to stand out as the only logical solution that they need to work with. Take your business, for example. It's actually perfect for the challenge model. Two reasons being, number one, you have a software tool.
Yeah.
So, what other better way to activate someone in using the tool than to give them a free trial during the challenge to actually use the tool, right?
Mhm.
So, I know being in Russell Brunson's mastermind for 6 years, they use something called the critical number. So, what the critical number is, we know we can get more people per day taking this action, the business is going to grow, right? So, for them, the critical number was like not just people using the trial of ClickFunnels, but it was, hey, how do we get people setting up a personal custom domain on ClickFunnels? It was like 85% of people that set up a personal custom domain on ClickFunnels would continue paying after their trial started. So for you, I'd be like, what's the critical number needing to happen? Or what's the critical moment that you can track of if they do this, they'll be way more likely that they're actually going to be using the software to run a YouTube ad, right? So you give them the trial of the software, you get them integrated, you get them hooked, you get their data configured, and then you teach them and show them and promise them the challenge transformation is we're going to help you get your first YouTube ad up and running at the end of the 3-day, 5-day, 7-day challenge. So independent of whether you decide to work with us at a deeper level after this challenge, 100% full stop, guaranteed, you will have your first YouTube ad up and running. Show me, don't tell me, right? So if you can show me that in 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, you can actually help me get my first YouTube ad up and running, and it's going to make me more, it's going to make me money.
Yeah.
Why would any logical human being think I don't need Aleric's help anymore? Now, maybe they won't invest in your highest level service because they'll think this is great. I can do this on my own. But I'm sure you and I know as high value business owners who value our time more than our money, we want to invest the most amount of money today to shortcut our path to success tomorrow. And that's what we sell, right? We sell people the ability to buy their time back, potentially save them the 10 to 15-year learning curve. So when you show someone and you don't tell them, prove it to them, they're gonna know, oh, this person is the most logical solution. They're the best person. They have the best team I could work with. I would be foolish thinking about this logically to not work with them at a deeper level. And if you give people options, right? Hey, if you're someone who wants to do this on your own, great. We have a do-it-yourself solution, maybe a low-ticket membership, maybe a digital course, a do-it-yourself solution, a software, right? That's a component of that. Or if you want help from our team, where we can hold your hand, look over your shoulder, take on a larger role to empower you and your team to achieve this desired transformation in a greater way in a shorter duration of time, we're here to help you in that capacity as well. Any logical human being who has someone show them and not tell them and has that level of transformational desire and benefit delivered in that short of a time frame is just going to want more.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's a really good way of looking at it. It's like you're the one that actually gets them to that initial point, and then the majority of the people are going to say, okay, hey, I actually want more hands-on support. And then you've also built that goodwill. You've gotten them into softwares, things like that. So that makes a lot of sense. Now, when it comes to actually structuring this challenge, how do you structure and think about each day Is there intentionality? I'm sure there is, of how that's all put together. But is it the same process? Is there a framework that you use across different challenges, or is it more dependent, in case by case per challenge in terms of the types of things you do each day?
Yeah, so I think one thing that just came to my mind that I feel 100% compelled to share to wrap up the last part of
Yeah.
that is, so one big thing I learned from Russell as well, being in his mastermind, was how they launched and grew ClickFunnels. So his initial launch system, unique mechanism, was his Funnel Hacks webinar back in the day when you could do ads straight to webinar. But now I would deploy the same concept. He calls it his MIFGI, most incredible free gift ever, right? This is a concept of giving your software away for free as a trial for some time frame. So getting people enrolled, to answer your question, in the back end offer isn't, when you have like a SaaS business or recurring revenue business, it's not even the number one primary factor in success of the challenge. So what Russell found is he did his webinar every week for a whole year straight, sometimes multiple times a week. And they had 2,500 people invest in a $1,000 offer, right? Generating $2.5 million in revenue in their first 2,500 customers in ClickFunnels. The key here is what they found is they also gave a free trial of their software away to everyone who registered for the webinar. And they had 7,500 people just from the value of the webinar see the possibility of what's possible with ClickFunnels, sync up that custom domain, and they were up and running using ClickFunnels on their own. So if they only sold it to buyers and didn't make it available for people and show them what was possible in his free webinar in this challenge experience so they could do it on their own, that would have only resulted in 2,500 customers and not 10,000. So that is what catapulted them to rapid, fast growth and on their way to, over 100,000 daily active customers, monthly active users. So same thing for you, right, as well. Like if you're getting people in momentum, they're going to be a lot more likely to use your tool, right, and keep paying for it, even if they don't invest in your core offer or your high ticket offer. And in a recurring revenue business or a SaaS business, the majority of the valuation of that company is in a multiple of the EBITDA of your daily active users, monthly active users, and the recurring revenue on the SaaS component of that business.
Yeah.
So the revenue you make right from the sales from a service-based business or a course is a way lower multiple than the EBITDA multiple you get from recurring revenue or a SaaS business. So that's super important, and why everyone that has that type of recurring revenue business needs to be giving people a trial, a test, and continue to get them using it, right? So I want to make sure that's clear. In terms of the next question of what are you doing every single day in the challenge? How do you make it different? Right? I think it's super important to say, okay, every business needs a framework. You need a framework to help your desired avatar go from where they're starting out to where they want to be. And that should be a 10-step framework. The way I look at the challenge is if your core offer helps them go from 1 to 10 in an ability to do it on their own, right? In your group coaching program, your done for you service helps them use and do that same framework 1 to 10, but with a high level of service, either working with you or you doing it for them. Your challenge helps them go from 0 to 1, right? So it's how to just get in the game, how to get started, how to deliver that micro transformation in a short duration of time, right? And we call it the problem solution path, right? So now you have a problem that you haven't started and you need to start. So the challenge helps give you the solution of how to get in the game, get started, create that first asset, get involved in a community where you're in pursuit of a future-based cause with other like-minded people who are stepping into your new vehicle for the first time. And you're that attractive character, that charismatic leader that is helping them go in pursuit of that future-based cause, the ultimate desired transformation that your core offer done with you or done for you program is going to help them do. But if you can't take them from 0 to 1, right? If you can't show them and not tell them, they're going to be a lot less likely to attend that sales presentation and invest in that core offer, that done with you or that done for you service, than if you could deliver that micro transformation in that short duration of time. Show them, don't tell them, and take them from 0 to 1. So every single day, I'm reverse engineering that 0 to 1 micro transformation journey, right? So if the full customer journey is how to go from 1 to 10 over 6 weeks, 6 months, the challenge is, hey, how to go from 0 to 1 over 5 days, 7 days, 14 days. So what exactly do I need to teach you every single day? What exactly do you need to learn? What exactly do you need to do? What exactly do you need to create? And what exactly community-driven experience do you need to curate for them to be a part of to get in momentum and continuing that momentum? And then after the course of that 5, 7, 14-day time frame, they'll have achieved that micro transformation, go from 0 to 1, and you'll solve that first problem. And then you'll reveal, just like I did, hey, you have a list, but you don't know how to monetize the list. On our live graduation training, I'm going to show you how to actually turn your prospects into high-paying clients. Then you want to present the next problem that you then need to solve. But if you want the solution of the second problem, that's where you have to continue to invest and go all in on achieving this ultimate desired transformation and a part of your paid program, working with you and your team at a deeper level.
And that's a great segue to talk about how you actually make that shift, because I think it's really good to break it down into all those micro, transformations, how you can break down the framework each day, continuing to move people along. And I think one of the things that's really unique about the way that you teach this versus, what other people do is how you're really focused on having people actually do the work and get the result. And so I'm curious how you approach the actual conversation around the investment and what's possible in that next step. And it sounds like also based on what you're saying is that you're kind of having that towards the end, whereas I know some other people, they talk about seeding it throughout. They do it, on day 3 and then repitch and repitch. So how do you approach like the actual, kind of presentation, offer, pitch style of your challenge? Do you do it multiple times? Do you do it once? It sounds like you're inviting people to a graduation. I'm curious, yeah, how does that process work?
I'm a big believer, if I haven't delivered that micro transformation, if I haven't earned the ability to make an offer to you, to show you what's possible, to invest your hard-earned money and time to work with us at a deeper level, I won't ever make it, right? So it's critical for me to make sure that I'm 100% reverse engineering that micro transformation to the best of our ability so that it's believable, easily achievable, and there's a high likelihood and outcome of success of people achieving that micro transformation in that high value community just by showing up and putting that time, energy, and effort in. I think once you do that, you're going to then earn the ability to make an offer. The final thing we do as a part of that challenge completion experience, the last assignment they have is to tell us about their story, tell us about their journey and what it was like achieving this micro transformation over the short duration of time in their challenge experience. So we have them submit a success story video to us.
Oh, that's
So yeah, so most people wait for someone to become a client to ask for a success story. We want a success story as a part of completing your challenge experience. And in order to win the ultimate prize and receiving your challenge completion gift, you have to complete your final assignment of submitting your challenge success story video. So we use an AI, pretty much an AI agent, AI tool process called Video Ask, where it's like we can, then it's like, okay, Jeff, well, I want to get success stories, but I have a lot of people, maybe tens, dozens, hundreds of people, maybe even thousands of people in my challenge. How do I actually interview that many people in like 24, 48 hours to collect those success stories? That seems not scalable. So with using human time, energy, and effort, it is not. But if you can use AI, it becomes scalable. So one thing we do is we use this tool called Video Ask, where I, as the creator, I will film myself. Another thing you'll realize when you ask for enough success stories is people don't know how to give a success story or tell their story. People are not good storytellers. They'll probably just be like, oh my God, Aleric's the best. You totally need to work with him. He's amazing. Go sign up with him now. It's like, okay, well, I had no emotional connection, conviction. I don't know who you are, your story. I don't even know what your desired transformation was. So what I realized was if I want to get success stories that sell for me, I need to not have to teach people on a one-on-one basis how to tell their story. I need to reverse engineer the hero's journey and ask success story interview questions in the exact order and tell them the answer in complete sentences that just by answering the questions, they'll tell the hero's journey story. So I have a list of 13 success story interview questions that I did. I filmed myself using this Video Ask tool, asking these questions in video format once. And then at the end of the challenge, I'll send them a link where they click, it opens up Video Ask. It asks them these individual successor interview questions one at a time, just as I was with them right here, interviewing them one question at a time. It then spits out all the answers to those questions in complete sentences. And then we have a team member who will assemble those all together. You could even use AI video editing tools now, which we're using. And then boom, you have a bunch of success story videos. So now, like for example, one of my clients and partners, we did a challenge where we help people use Merch by Amazon, which is like how to create your first merch, all fulfillment done by Amazon. You just upload your design and they handle the whole business of selling your design on a t-shirt. We taught them how to do that. So challenge transformation, come with nothing, leave with your first piece of merch designed and created and launched, you generating your first dollar in your new Merch by Amazon business in the challenge, right?
Yeah.
In doing that, we had 500 challengers enroll in a paid challenge. We had about 55 of those 500 challengers enroll in our core offer. Great conversion, like 12% conversion rate, really great. But the key to the success of this challenge wasn't the 55 people who paid to work with us at a deeper level. It was the fact that using the same video as process, we generated 150 success story videos within 48 to 72 hours, all automated of the total 500 challenges.
Wow.
That many success story videos we can now use as the pre-frame of our live graduation training to recap where they came, where they started and where they are in that challenge, right? Just kind of sharing some quick wins. We can put those success story videos on the sales page to market and sell the next challenge. We can use those as either cold traffic attraction ads or warm retargeting ads to get people who've seen the challenge page buying, investing, and enrolling everywhere, right? So then our sales cycle reduces, our conversion rate skyrockets on subsequent challenges, and we just keep stacking this to create undeniable social proof for not just this challenge, but every challenge after that. So then we transition to the live graduation training, right? Where most people say webinar, and they started off with cold traffic, sharing their origin story. Hey, you didn't know me before this webinar. Now, hopefully with my life story, origin story, you now know me a little bit more, but still we're in a trust recession, so that doesn't do it. So in our live graduation training, we start with, guys, we have come so far together. Would it be okay with you if I shared some of the amazing success stories you guys have sent us in as a direct result of your implementation and actually action-taking mentality in this challenge? Win after win after win after win, success after success after success after success. Do you think these people who are sharing all these incredible wins are now primed in a better environment to actually activate continued ascension and enrollment to work with you at a deeper level? Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So then you get them like barriers, walls are down. They're actually willing, able, and open to receiving your sales presentation. And they've been asking, it's like, guys, you've been telling us, you've been asking the whole challenge.
Yeah.
Aleric, this challenge has been incredible. I never have launched a YouTube ad before. You helped me do it in 48 hours and, in just a few days. I've never seen a tool that's this amazing. I've never been in a community of other people in pursuit of doing YouTube ads. This is amazing. I don't want to lose this. I want to continue this forward. Like, how do I do this? So you say, you guys have been asking us. Here's some screenshots of questions we've received. How do we continue this journey forward? So you position it as like, you've been asking this. We're just giving you the next logical step in your journey to continue working with us and learning from us at a deeper level, right? And then you can go through, we don't have time in this presentation today to walk through the whole webinar framework, but now just by that different pre-frame experience, right? The same webinar that we've seen clients have 20% attendance and a 5% conversion rate just by changing the pre-frame experience of this goodwill microtransformation being achieved in this shorter time frame for that low of a dollar amount and the success story being delivered, attendance rates going from 20% to 80% of the total challengers, conversion rates going from 5% to 20%, 30% of the total challengers. And that could be even high ticket offers, that type of conversion rate, not even just in core offers. So that live graduation training on the final day of, let's say, a 5-day challenge, then activates the first open enrollment experience where you give people a fast action bonus to take action by the end of this webinar by midnight tonight, right? Something that brings them closer to you and your team as the expert, gets them taking action. So those first access exclusive emotional buyers want to invest. And then that initiates a 5-day, 7-day open cart window in which you then can transition from marketing and selling to the emotional buyers to then the logical buyers, and then have some fear of missing out, urgency and scarcity messaging to those buyers at the end of open cart. And that's a whole nother, we're doing a different theme every single day of open cart, giving people different reason to buy today that they didn't have the day before. And yeah, that's when you can repitch to the logical buyers, appealing to them on, hey, what's the ROI of the time financial investment? How do I actually like go with you, learn in a deeper way, and actually make this work? But that would initiate a 5 to 7 day open cart experience in which at the end of that, the offer is removed from the table. There's the power of the deadline, urgency, scarcity. So either that product's coming off the market for some foreseeable future, or maybe forever. That's one way you can create urgency and scarcity in your offer. The second way is the price is going up, right? So we have Black Friday, Cyber Monday coming up. Why was there the number one sales generated revenue event in the history of online e-commerce sales? Because of the power of price scarcity, and people will buy things they don't even need or want just to get a discount, right? So the ability to reduce price for some short duration in the launch or get founding member pricing, right? I don't like the price reduction. I like the price reduction to do like some kind of low ticket product bundle during a Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I don't like discounting my core offer, my high ticket offer, unless it's some type of founding member pricing of a new program. And then the third one is you can remove bonuses from that offer, right? So that fast action bonus, right? Maybe some launch exclusive bonuses, some challenge launch exclusive bonuses would be not available or would expire if you don't buy during the challenge. So I want to have one of those three elements of urgency and scarcity. They get removed and taken off the table if they don't invest at the end of that 5 to 7 day challenge on the back end of that pre-launch, pre-frame experience is a part of their full challenge.
Wow. I love how thought out and methodical everything is. And, it's definitely, I mentioned earlier, like quite the masterclass in how all of this works. So I think this is a good picture on the challenge itself. And of course, what people might be wondering is, okay, how often do you do these challenges? How are they marketed? Of course, there's kind of the easy answer of your list. And then there's also like kind of the big picture of like ads. But I'm curious, what do you see with these different challenges? How frequently is a good rhythm to get into? And then also, what are some of the different ways that you're seeing success marketing these different challenges as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the things that I hated about the traditional launch model is this nomenclature that you should only do one big joint venture launch a year.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people have done for over a decade, because it's like, wait, I have to have sustainable revenue that sustains the whole business throughout the entirety of the year from one single launch. Like, that sounds like a lot of risk I'm incurring. The second reason being, people are getting added to our list, following us on social, and joining our community every single day.
Yeah.
So wait, if someone misses out on this launch window, they have to wait like 340 to 360 days to see the offer again. So that one never really resonated with me. Also, going back to like the challenge versus other launches, I use the challenge launch because it works with the most amount of people in the easiest way in a trust recession. It's giving us proof that's being delivered in a short duration of time, giving us permission to then make an offer and enroll, getting more people attending and more people enrolling in the highest rate I've seen. However, it's not the only launch system I use.
Yeah.
So another strategy I use is merging and stacking launches together. So you don't only have to do a challenge every single launch, right? I could, for example, I could have some type of person deployed from one of the different traffic distribution strategies come on my list, immediately test the heat of the buyer, right? Maybe you show them like a VSL quickly. Maybe you invite them to only, a short webinar quickly. So the hottest of the hot buyers can buy quickly. And then if they don't, you then could invite them into a challenge launch where you can go deeper with them, earn their permission, right, to make that offer. Then if they don't buy in the challenge, you can invite them to a virtual event, right? Or a 4-part video series, different. So we're merging and stacking different launch systems together. And I found that a lot of people pick launch systems that they want to use to sell based on their comfort level, but you're not taking into account that people consume content, consume pre-launch free and pre-launch content, and they buy in their specific personal preferences. So for example, there's some people who are, you know, doom scrollers, impulse buyers, right? So short form content could be great for them, and maybe these, short VSLs and or short webinars could be good for them, right? Just show me something and tell me the offer and let me decide if I want to buy or not. Even people who have, that value their time more than their money, they're not more, they're not as likely to come on, a long challenge or, even like a 4-part video series typically can be more kind of a beginner launch. So I found launch systems of, VSLs, like just show me who you are, what's the proof you've done it, who have you done it with, and then how can I learn to work with you at a deeper level, right? Those work well for the higher ticket, high value avatars. Also, we invest in in-person immersive high ticket experiences. So if I can invest 5 grand to get an in-person mastermind, I know that room is already curated for high value business owners that I want to do business with.
Yeah.
Even though it's more expensive, I would rather invest more money to spend less time to be in a room with curated high-level business owners and entrepreneurs. So if you're attracting that type of buyer, that type of VSL online, that's shorter and or more immersive in person would be for that type of buyer. But if you're trying to attract more of a beginner audience, the 4-part video series, the challenge launch, right, virtual event, those would be better launch systems for them. So, and if you want to sell, right, like a $500 to $3,000, $5,000 product, that type of launch system is, those types of launch systems are going to be great for that. So you have to know, like, who are you? Who's your ideal avatar? What stage of the journey are you in? What's the one to many offer you're going to make? And then how are you going to best make it to them? So I think the type of launch system you're picking to put in front of them has to align with that. And then it has to align with the type of offer you're making, right? So some launch systems just resonate better with some type of avatars and clients. And then some launch systems better resonate with some type of like offers you're making, right? And then I typically will say, I don't want to do just one, because if I'm only picking one, I'm putting an artificial ceiling on the number of people I could help serve and enroll by only doing one, right? So I want to merge and stack different launches together at different times in that launch campaign. And then that way you can get different people at different times in different ways coming in. So just because someone didn't buy from the first launch doesn't mean they're a non-buyer. It just means no or not now, right? So if you invite them, if you have new launches to invite them to, you're going to get more people who maybe they didn't get 75%, 95% of 1% of the way there. It doesn't mean they're starting from zero. It means the next launch is going to be a lot easier to enroll them in that same offer, right? So I'm looking at that. But in terms of, let's just say I want to get started and do a challenge, that's the beauty about challenges. Like you could do new challenges with new people in an automated way or a hybrid way, live that seems live to the audience, but it's automated to you once a week, like at that frequency. So I'm trying to think, how could we I like the once a month, every month at the first of the month, new challenge, because that gives us enough time to then activate ads and enroll new people. And I could talk about the traffic distribution strategies as well, if you'd like that we're deploying. But those are the way. I think a lot of people are like, hey, I like this model. This is how I want to launch. And they only launch in one way. So, and they put that artificial ceiling on them. So just by having empathy for your type of avatar and aligning launch system with the offer you're making and merging the stacking launches together, you're unlocking a whole new level that you could reach in your business.
I love it. All right, you mentioned something we got to dive into, which is the automated challenges that feel live to the viewer. That's something where I think a lot of people, when they're looking at challenges, they're saying, okay, well, if you're doing a high frequency, to a lot of people, they think they have to do that live every time.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to hear, what is that strategy? How do you deploy the automated challenge strategy? I know different people have different ways of looking at that. So I'm curious, how does that look like for you? And then also in a way that can explain to somebody watching who may not even know that is such a thing as an automated live feeling challenge. So kind of break that down, and then also what you're seeing and what some of your strategy is for that.
Yeah. So the biggest pros of a live launch is momentum, high attendance rates, most importantly, high conversion rates, right? So if there's that adrenaline, that momentum that people are getting when they're live, that's going to result in the highest conversion rate. The con is it's a lot of time, energy, effort before, during, and after. And people can get that launch like burnout.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, we just spent all this time, energy, and effort marketing and selling this. Now we got people invested. Now we have to go fulfill, right? So we don't have the same amount of time to market and sell when we're in fulfillment mode. But if you already have your program fully fulfilled and people are just getting access to recordings because you've launched it multiple times and you've created the assets you've already used to market and sell the challenge and fulfill on the product, now you're in business for automation. So the beauty about automation and evergreen launches is that you actually get to buy your time back. So we will trade a decrease in conversion and or live attendance for buying our time back and getting this feeling of anyone, anywhere, at any time can join that automated evergreen experience and invest. And this was the whole, I would say, what kind of made our space the best in the world is this concept of like run meta ads to an automated evergreen webinar. And, I'm making money while I'm asleep, sipping my ties on my yacht, right? But now, like I said, being in a trust recession and more people needing a show me, don't tell me, you need a different launch system and you need more of a live experience. So I said, how do I take the pros and the best of both the high conversion of the live launch and the ability to buy back your time in an automated launch and combine it into one, and that is the hybrid launch model. So what the hybrid launch model does, it allows us to get the benefits and the pros of both launches without sacrificing the cons. So there's a few ways you can do this. Number one is you can do a true live, true live, where just because you want it automated and evergreen to you as the expert doesn't mean it has to be automated and evergreen to everyone in your team. So what does this look like? Well, you could have an MC, a facilitator facilitating that experience live. Someone on your team, maybe it's an assistant, maybe it's a personality, a project manager, right? Someone under you. As long as you as the expert in your high-level team members, you're not investing that time, it's evergreen for all things that consider to matter most, right? So a facilitated live experience. So that person can say, if I'm your MC, your facilitator, I can say, hey, Sarah, Jeff, or Sarah, Michelle, John, welcome. It's so great to see you. I can actually be creating a live experience, calling people out. But I can say, hey guys, I'm ready. Are you ready? We're going to dive into Aleric's day one presentation. Here we go. Boom. And I can play a pre-recorded asset. And then at the end of that, I can come back and say, all right, guys, now you're going to do your assignment. Here's going to do. But that education is Aleric expert, personal brain, automated, right? So that's the facilitator model. And that's true live for someone on your team, but not you and the community who's attending, right? Does that make sense? So it's only thing that matters, is it automated evergreen to you? Yes, it is. So that facilitator-driven live experience, that's option one. Option two is true evergreen automated to you and your entire team. Maybe not a community support or customer support manager who can facilitate, answer comments, but to everyone else. And then true live to the audience. So there's simulcast automated, softwares, right, that we can use. Things like Event, Live Pigeon, like there's a bunch of different tools, but essentially you can curate, like you can market the launch, market, deliver, hey, these are the dates, it's live, attend, show up. But then when you go live, it's actually a pre-recorded asset that's streamed as a live asset and it looks live. And that's the kind of like doing it not transparently, where the transparent one at the first one was, hey, we're going to show Aleric's training pre-recorded, but I'm here live with you, right? So it's kind of, how do you want to do it? Transparent, not transparent. But honestly, people don't really care as long as the quality experience is good. And in the latter option of using the pre-recorded asset streamed as a live, we still also would have live community managers in there, like answering questions in the chat and or, helping people curate their experience on an individual level. So it's not like people are kind of left. What I don't ever do that some people ask is sell a challenge and then just give people access to some library of videos. You know what I'm saying? Like how you would receive if you bought a course evergreen.
Yeah.
Right. Why? Because I still want the most important things happening. I want the community live connecting together of prospects to enroll as clients. And then I want the micro transformation being delivered as a community live. Does that make sense? So it's like the evergreen automated way has to happen without compromising the critical live components that deliver the high conversion and the high community driven value that the live challenge launch experience delivers. And that's the most important thing. The other thing is when you have a well filled with water and you go to then take a bucket and remove water from that well, the water level of that well is going down. And over enough time of you removing water from that well's eventually going to be depleted unless it is refilled with more water. The same thing exists with your existing organic social media audience and your own list that you own. If you only go to that same well and invite those same people to the same challenge and make the same offer, eventually they're going to get offer fatigue from that same list. So you need to be replenishing that list and adding more people to your audience, more people to your list, so that when you go to make the offer to the next challenge, you're not just doing it to the same people in the same way over and over time. You want to be getting new people curating to your list. So there's essentially 6 different media distribution strategies that we deploy to fill our well on an ongoing basis. Number 1, fastest, easiest way, paid media, right? YouTube ads, meta ads.
Yeah.
How can I use resources of capital to pay to acquire attention, the most attention in the shortest duration of time, or I can acquire a lot of attention with just increasing my financial investment, right? So paid media across the different paid media platforms. You can run ads on one platform, increase the number of creative you're using, increasing your spend on that platform to scale, or you can scale, increasing the number of platforms you're running paid media on, right? So paid media is number 1. Number 2 is earned media, right? Same thing. You can create organic content, short form, long form. If you're creating content on one short form channel, you should be creating content on all short form channels. If you're creating long form content on one channel, you should be creating content on all long form channels, right? So short form, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, TikTok clips, right, et cetera. Even like X, Threads, et cetera. Long form, if you're on YouTube, you should be on a podcast, et cetera, right? So we can scale the number of creative we're publishing per day, per platform, and we can scale the number of platforms we're publishing per day, per platform on, right? Then we go to partner media. Who has my list? Other people's audience, right? So maybe there's indirect competitors, people who are service providers who offer solutions to our same ideal avatar. I would consider that us, right?
Yeah.
I don't teach people YouTube ads, you do, but I teach your clients, once you drive the traffic from the YouTube ad, how to best monetize that viewer. So out of every 100 people you send to a specific offer, you're converting more of that 100 people, right? So indirect competitors, complementary offers, other people who have your audience, how do you add value, collaborate with them, create some incentive to get in front of their audience so that you could, right? We're doing this podcast interview. There's going to be synergy between my audience who wants to follow you and your audience who wants to follow me, right? So partner media. And what I love about all of those media distribution channels is that they're endless, right? There's no cap, there's no ceiling. You can deploy those in perpetuity forever. And all 3 of those funnel into owned media, right? So the problem with the earned media platforms is you don't own your audience. You're at the mercy of the organic reach the platform is going to show you. The bad thing about paid media is you're at the mercy of the paid media platforms, right? Maybe algorithm updates happen, maybe ad costs go up, and your same unit of dollar you used to deploy to get a number of leads or ads is changed, and that could hinder the economics of the whole entire offer. Same thing with partners. Like, maybe you have a partner today, maybe you lose that partner tomorrow. You can't just only rely on that person, and you want to follow all of that audience attention into the list you own. So email lists, text lists, messenger lists, right? So you can control the frequency of communication and your ability to nurture that audience over time and invite them to consume long form trainings, attend your challenge launch, whatever you want them to do to build them and nurture them from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel, you're now in control of. I also think about, once people consume my paid programs, products, and services, how can I then get them to advocate for me? I call this alumni media. How can your previous alumni clients, how can you incentivize them to tell their story to other people that are a part of their community to come back in and follow and invest in learning from you? And then how can you create referral systems and referral networks of other people who are either clients or partners to send more traffic to you? And then the final one is outbound, right? So I proactively will look at and find who are my dream 100 partners, clients, that I want to curate experiences with and manually reach out to, right? Maybe I see someone doing a challenge launch. Maybe someone on my team will go and audit their challenge and we'll send them a Loom video of, hey, here's 5 opportunities we've identified to help you improve the conversion rate of your challenge. We'll love to hop on a call with you and talk about how you can implement these in more detail if you're interested. So we need to implement the 6 media distribution strategies to increase the audience attention that we own. So you can increase the people who are attending your challenges, your launches on an ongoing basis. So you're consistently removing water from a full well.
Absolutely. I love it. I love the well analogy too, and bringing people into those challenges. Well, this has been fantastic, and I want to hear about how people can find you. But if you're new to the Marketing Minds podcast, what we always dive into is a golden nugget at the end. So we're going to have a final golden nugget from you, Jeff, before we close out here. But before we get to that, where can people go to find out more about everything you do with the monetization of traffic coming in, the challenge model, all the different things you talked about? Where would you like to send people?
Yeah, thank you. So I think the easiest way would just be to follow me on Instagram at Jeff_Brewer. I have daily short form educational tips that I share there. And then in my stories, I give people the opportunity to consume other long form podcast interviews that we have and attend other trainings or potentially talk to someone on my team about how we can help you launch your first challenge or grow and scale your existing challenge to help you take the content you're publishing, the community that you're curating, and best monetize that community so you can increase your income and impact in your business.
Love it. Well, we'll put those links down in the description below. And so we always love to close out these episodes with a final golden nugget. What's one final golden nugget around challenges that maybe didn't share already in this episode that you can leave everybody with to close out the episode?
Yeah, thank you. The number one thing I'm diving into more than ever, as I know you are, is how can we become the best AI architects in the world? I'm a big believer. It's not humans versus AI, it's humans without AI versus humans with AI. So how are you best leveraging the artificial intelligence tools of today and tomorrow to stay at the cutting edge of your space? So I'm always thinking like, I want to find out how can I put myself out of business before someone else is, right? And make sure you're in an opportunity vehicle in a business where you're not on a sinking ship, right? So I'm thinking about maybe you're doing the right things, maybe you have the right experience, expertise, but you're in the wrong vehicle. So I think there's going to be opportunity vehicles, business vehicles that are better suited to thrive in an AI-driven world. So I wouldn't be telling my kids like, hey, you should become an Uber driver, right? I think autonomous vehicles are here to stay. And I think in this AI-driven world, I'm thinking in the same way. So I look at all programs and businesses with 4 components. We're all selling at the end of the day content, coaching, community, and code. And AI is coming quickly to commoditize content and code, and that's already happening. The next thing it's coming for is coaching with personalized AI coaching. That's something you need to be doing. But the one thing I think that has the greatest longevity that it can't disrupt is community.
Yeah.
How are you curating in-person community-driven events in human-to-human, one-on-one relationships and conversations? Those are the things that AI cannot do yet. You can't just do those business as usual the same way everyone else is. You need the 10x, 100x, 1000x these efforts. How can you be a community leader who's curating these in-person, real-world relationships and experiences? Because I think other people more than ever are going to connect themselves to the community-driven leaders who are curating those experiences. So in an AI-first world, be the top AI architect in your space so you can beat out other people who are using AI but not as good and who are not even using it. But be a thought leader who's not just an AI architect, but is also a community-driven leader who's curating these in-person, real-world connections and relationships at the deepest level.
I love it. That's a great way. I completely agree with the way you're looking at AI, and I love being the best AI architect. That's a great way of looking at it. Well, thank you so much again for being on here, Jeff. This has been fantastic. We'll put those links down below. And thanks again for coming on the Marketing Minds podcast.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Super appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks.